just good old Santa Claus. Down through the chimney, lots of toys, all for the little ones' Christmas joys. Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Up on a housetop, click, click, click. Well, you what you mean here? Down through the chimney with good Saint Nick.
This is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1. Merry Christmas, everybody. This is my probably first Mert Witness 1 Christmas Murtathon mobile. I figured I'd go ahead and do this because everybody that is running around doing all the Christmas shopping, celebrating with family and friends, may not listen to this today, but maybe tomorrow, the next day, or the day after, they may tune in. So I figure, what the heck, I just go ahead and put this thing up. Now, again, this is going to be, I'm going to go through a number of things that I've noticed on the internet when it comes to the wonderful, wild, and wacky world of Timothy Charles Homseth. And the first thing I would like to note for everybody is that this is Christmas Day, and Phil McConnell is still in jail. So whatever letter that was sent by this World Postmaster General and all the quotations by people saying that the Postmaster of the world is going to send the National Guard out and that this is a violation of U.S. mail law and stuff, are clearly showing that they have no idea what it is that they're talking about. Because the United States Post Office is run by the United States government, and there is a Postmaster General of the United States. There is no such thing as a world postmaster. Some nut decided to make himself something that he is not. You just don't go out and say, well, I'm going to be the postmaster of the world. You know, there's got to be something or someone that puts you there. You know, the concept's just so stupid, it really doesn't warrant being talking about. You know, when some nut goes out there and says, well, I'm going to be postmaster of the world. And postmaster of the world gets involved in some small-time idiot that gets himself in trouble because he's got a big mouth and he's in a county jail in some small, sparsely populated county in Wisconsin. But these are the kind of people that Tim Homseth finds himself around. And this brings me to another interesting topic, and that is the subject of Mrs. Timothy Charles Homseth. Now, I really don't understand how in the ever-loving hell this woman ever got attached to Timothy Homseth. And I doubt Timothy Charles Homseth even knows he has a wife, because he hasn't said one thing about her. He hasn't mentioned her. He hasn't said, yes, this is my wife. Nothing. So it looks to me like Tim Homseth has got himself a bona fide stalker. That some woman in a brownstone somewhere in Brooklyn is so infatuated with Timothy Holmseth that she makes up this Facebook page. Now, there's only one problem with this. Under normal circumstances, you might dismiss this woman as possibly a troll out there to make Tim Holmseth look a little bit silly, or someone who may be enthralled to the point with Tim Holmseth that she throws her support behind him. But there's some things about this woman that are downright dangerous. And one of these things is the fact that she has a very violent streak. She actually wants to kill Vice President Pence. She's threatened his life in the most severe way that I have seen anybody threaten anyone before. It's right there on her Facebook page that this woman wants to kill Vice President Pence and others. Her language is violent. Her intent is violent. And while she may not be serious, this kind of talk is the kind of talk that gets you a visit from the Secret Service to find out what exactly they are dealing with here. Because her pronouncements have been reported to the Secret Service. And the Secret Service is monitoring her Facebook account because, in light of what's been happening over the past few years, they don't ignore things like this, no matter how ridiculous the person is making these comments. They will investigate, and more than likely that woman's going to get an unwelcome visit from the U.S. government. Because no matter what name she puts up on Facebook and what information she puts on there, the United States government knows who you are. And they'll know who she is. You cannot hide from the federal government. So, these people that run around making these threats and making these claims are going to find out they can't hide from that. And one of these days, the government's going to come a-calling. And there's going to be a price to pay for your actions. Now, another thing off of Facebook is that once again, there has been the statement that E-Clause has no part in anything that has to do with Field McConnell. They're not helping with his legal situation with the House, and they are not helping with the criminal action with the House. E-Clause is not part of the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force or any other unnamed task force that Timothy Charles Holmseth is a spokesman for. Which is kind of an odd thing to be saying, since there's a possibility that Timothy Charles Holmseth and Kirk Pendergrass are in the same building. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to work out when there's this kind of dissent going on between these two individuals and they're in the same house. Now, it could be that Tim Holmseth is no longer in that house. Tomorrow, December 26th, is going to tell that. Because so far, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, on December 25th, 2019, Tim Holmseth has not published anything on his blog or his Facebook page. Now, there's a remote possibility that Tim Holmseth may have found his way to his daughter's house. You know, maybe that little white SUV that he promised he was going to go running around the country in was used to transport him down to see his daughter and his grandchildren. Probably the last time he sees them before he goes to jail. Because 2020 doesn't look to be a good year for Tim Holmseth. Or for any of that other bunch, for that matter. So we have the scrutiny of Tim Holmseth to look forward to next year. Now, I'm aware of things that nobody else might be at the moment that are going on. They haven't taken place quite yet. There were some things that I thought would have taken place by now that haven't. I'm not sure why. But it's one of these things that in 2020 we may want to look forward to, because there are things going on in the background that's going to affect people in unexpected ways. It's just a matter of how or when these events unfold. Now, one thing I have learned from, say, for instance, the Casey Anthony case is always expect the unexpected. You know, I figured that Casey Anthony would have been found guilty and be in jail by now. That did not happen. Because the state in Orange County made a fundamental mistake. They could not connect a cause of death to Casey Anthony. And because of that, the jury adjudicated her not guilty. Now, I wasn't completely in agreement with that particular verdict, but I understand it. And there's always a remote possibility that it will happen again. Because the sheriff in Pierce County, Wisconsin, made a mistake. And that mistake was that he didn't deliver a piece of paper to Field McConnell, which had nothing to do with his criminal case. It had to do with the foreclosure. So if anything, the case would have affected the foreclosure more than it would have affected the criminal case. And jumping back to the postmaster of the world, this is what led to this thing about the letter. It had nothing to do with the letter that was mentioned in the thing with the postmaster of the world. It had to do with the fact that a notification had not been delivered properly to Field McConnell when it came to the foreclosure. And if people were paying attention to the 4 court cases that are on the record that are against Field McConnell, they would have noticed that the one that was being discussed was the foreclosure, and it had nothing to do with the criminal action. The criminal action at the moment is on hold. The state of Florida has until the end of January, at the earliest, to submit whatever is necessary to submit in order to get this extradition hearing going. And as I stated before, the state of Florida is going to wait until it clears other matters up, and that there's time for both the state of Wisconsin and the state of Florida to address this matter in the Wisconsin court. Now, It seems that people are under the illusion that the extradition order has not been signed. It has been signed. It's been signed on behalf of the governor of the state of Florida by a member of the staff. It's rare that a governor personally signs any kind of orders. There's usually someone that's given the power of attorney, the authority, whatever, to sign on DeSantis' behalf. Now, if a governor, in this case DeSantis, decided that it was in his best interest to intervene and personally sign an extradition order or deny it, he would have done so by now. Because every day he puts off doing something about Phil McConnell spends in jail. And so, Phil McConnell is not going to get out of jail. DeSantis has authorized the extradition of Phil McConnell to the state of Florida. And the governor of the state of Wisconsin is staying out of it. He's letting the courts handle the situation. He's not contesting the extradition. He's not holding it up. If the state wants Phil McConnell and jumps through all the hurdles in court, the state of Florida is going to get Phil McConnell. And it doesn't, I don't care how many rants and raves and weird conspiracies come up on these various social media sites that are in support of Phil McConnell. Phil McConnell is going to go to Florida. Phil McConnell is going to be in Florida, in jail, until he is adjudicated guilty or not guilty. Simple as that. Now, this gets back to a question I would like to ask those who support Phil McConnell. McConnell is sitting in jail. McConnell is accumulating debt. Power bills, all kinds of bills. Phil McConnell has not paid his taxes. Now, one person on my YouTube page contends that Phil McConnell is current on his mortgage. And I am rather curious as to how that is possible, since Phil McConnell is sitting in jail. How are the mortgages getting paid? Does he have one of these things where the bank automatically pays the mortgage? And what I'm speaking of is the bank where his pension is. Because the last I checked, Phil McConnell is getting a pension. And that pension should be paying his mortgage. And of course, the other question to be answered, if Phil McConnell has a pension, why in hell is he in this mess to begin with? Because his pension would have more than prevented him from being in this situation in the first place. He makes enough in the pension to pay the mortgage, pay all his taxes, and pay all his utilities, his homeowner's insurance, all of it, and maybe have a little left over to play around with his cars and his little radio station and his internet site. But that's not happening. So that means that there's a possibility that Phil McConnell is not paying his federal income tax and his property taxes because he simply doesn't feel like it. And yet he's paying on the mortgage on his house because he thinks that's going to keep him out of trouble. But the problem is, that's a condition of when you sign for a mortgage. When you tell the bank that I'm going to send you X number of dollars for my mortgage, I'm also going to pay all the property taxes. I'm going to pay the homeowner's insurance. I'm going to pay this, that, and the other thing to maintain the house. He has to keep the house in good repair. That's in the contract. If anybody of you out there have a mortgage, pull it out and start reading the fine print, and you're going to see in there that number one, you have to maintain homeowner's insurance. Number two, you have to pay the taxes on the property. And number three, you have to keep the house in good repair. You can't let it go to pot. It's the same thing when you own a car. The finance company says you got to keep the car in good repair for as long as you own it. If you have an accident, you have to get it fixed. You just can't drive around in the car looking like Godzilla attacked it. You got to keep it going. Otherwise, they're going to repossess the car and sell it. And you're going to get stuck with the balance of the finance after they auction the car off. But that's a story for a different time. The thing of it is, Bill McConnell is in court for a reason. And that reason is that he didn't live up to his obligations under the mortgage. Now, all this malarkey that people come up with, excusing Bill McConnell for not paying his taxes, is not going to do Phil McConnell any good. You know, you can piss, moan, and whine all you want how unfair it is that Phil McConnell is going to get his house taken away. But Phil McConnell alone is responsible for getting in this situation in the first place. It's nobody else's fault but Phil McConnell's. It's not Kim Picazzo's fault. It's not my fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's Phil McConnell's fault. He chose not to pay his taxes, both federal and local. He allowed the financial situation regarding his house to take place. And now Phil McConnell is stuck. It is with great certainty that unless a miracle happens, some money comes out of somewhere to get everything caught up in the next 6 months, Phil McConnell is going to be homeless. Phil McConnell will have to make arrangements when he comes out of jail to find a place to live. Now, I'm rather curious if his adult children are going to allow him to live with them. Because he does have children. Children who stand to lose the inheritance they would otherwise have gotten because their father screwed up. And then we have Tim Homseth. Tim Homseth has managed to stay away from the first worst of his situation. He's running around a free man, living off of others, being a little leech, getting fed, getting a bed to sleep in, getting a TV to watch, internet access, and it looks like from time to time he gets to use a car. So Timothy Homseth is having a lot of fun at Phil McConnell's expense. On Christmas Day, while the best Phil McConnell's going to get is maybe a phone call and a Christmas dinner of some sort supplied by the prison, that's going to be the extent of his Christmas. He's not going to be sitting under a Christmas tree opening presents. He's not going to be drinking eggnog or whatever it is he likes to drink while talking on his show and dancing around with a wig or pink shorts or whatever the hell it is that he wore that one time. He's not going to be joking around with Dr. Feelgood or interacting with his audience. He's going to be sitting in a county jail reading a Bible Maybe call in and pray or something. That's it. And it's going to be that way on December 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and so on. Phil McConnell will be in the county jail New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And every day that goes by, it's going to become more and more apparent that people on the outside either aren't doing anything to get him out of his situation, or whatever they're doing isn't working. And that whatever this little thing is that Phil McConnell wants to go to on March, he ain't going to make it. He's going to be in jail. And it's probably going to be in the state of Florida, on the East Coast. And he won't be able to look out at the ocean or swim in a heated swimming pool or an air-conditioned swimming pool. Because the Broward County Jail does not have a pool. It's nowhere near the ocean. Matter of fact, it's in the middle of nowhere. And they don't have a lot of windows. So Phil McConnell may not have a window to stare out of. The only thing Phil McConnell will have is a wall to stare at. Or he can stare out the bars that are confining him at the prisoners across the hall in their little room with the bars. Phil McConnell's a caged dog. He's confined to this little cubicle. And it's going to be that way for a very long time. Possibly for the rest of his life. There may be a day, a distinct possibility, in fact, that Phil McConnell may find himself transferred over into the federal prison system. And he may wind up being my neighbor. Because federal prisons are all over the state of Florida. And Phil McConnell may find himself in one of those. And he won't be a happy camper if that happens. Now, why is Phil McConnell going to find himself in a federal prison? Well, because Phil McConnell's under federal investigation. And Phil McConnell's under federal investigation for falsely declaring he's a representative of an agency of the United States government. And as I discussed before, this is a felony. And Phil McConnell is also guilty of wire fraud because he is taking funds representing himself as being a representative of the United States government, and so has Kirk Pendergrass, Chris Hallett, and Timothy Charles Homseth, and possibly some more people. All these people are representing themselves to be in direct contact with the United States government on an official basis. Timothy Charles Homseth declares that he is a spokesperson, press secretary, media spokesman, whatever you want to call it, for an agency of the United States government. That's a felony, because he has to prove that he is. He has to come up with something that gives him that authority. He has to have President Trump sign a document that says he has that authority. And it has to be verifiable. You just can't come up with a piece of paper with a sawtooth signature on it that Trump is famous for, because we don't know if that's a forgery or not. You have to come up with something that certifies that you are, in fact, a Kirk Pendergrass's case, he has to come up with something that says he is under contract with the United States government. Because he stated that he is. He says he has a contract with the federal government that has to go to this damage control, or whatever it is you want to call it. That he has the authority of the United States government to do this. That means that you're representing yourself as an agent or a person associated in an official capacity with an agency of the United States government or with the United States government itself. And you're getting funds based on that assumption that you know what you're talking about. And the additional problem with Kirk Pendergrass, once again, is that he and Mr. Elliott are attorneys. That anybody can be an attorney. What is wrong? The only way you can be an attorney is if you are pro se. That is, you're representing yourself. You can't represent somebody else in court as an attorney. If you want to be pro se and face the distinct possibility you're going to lose whatever it is that you're arguing in court, then by all means, go out and be pro se. See where it gets you. Hasn't gotten Tim Holseth anywhere. Hasn't gotten a lot of people anywhere that try this stunt. You know, you're not arguing about a traffic ticket. You're not going to court and say you're going to plea withhold adjudication from a speeding ticket. You're arguing about some pretty serious matters. And they're matters where you need a lawyer. And unfortunately, people have taken Kirk Pendergrass's advice, and they have lost, and lost big. People have lost their children because of Kirk Pendergrass. Now, Kirk Pendergrass is going to find out that people are mad at him, and that people that have been victims of Kirk Pendergrass, among others, are starting to complain to various enforcement agencies, including the bar associations in a number of states, that Mr. Pendergrass is practicing law without a license. And these charges are accumulating for every person that Kirk Pendergrass offers advice to that gets into the role of being a lawyer. And the fact that Kirk Pendergrass has an office where he states he's a lawyer, that's going to catch up with him, and catch up with him big. It takes time. Kirk Pendergrass may think that he's getting away with something. He's going to find out how completely wrong he is. Because the various law enforcement agencies are just sitting back and they're collecting their foundation evidence. And they're getting things together, and getting their timetable together. And pretty soon, quite soon, this is all going to catch up to Kirk Pendergrass, just as everything is going to start catching up to all these other people involved in these various scams. Justice is slow, and justice is swift. And 2020 is going to be a year when a lot of ramifications are going to take place, when some accountability is going to take place. A lot of truth is going to take place. So with that, this is William K. Murtaugh, Witness 1, hoping you all had a good Christmas, wishing you a Happy New Year, and I look forward to being with you every day for the foreseeable future. And with that, I say, have a good one.